Hubby and I are going to be trying the Popeyes chicken sandwich today. This is very popular on social media, or it was at least. So we'll see how it is. Hubby took a bite already and said it was really good. He has the original one and I got the spicy. And coincidentally, this is the first time I'm ever having Popeyes chicken. I've never had it before. Hey everyone, it is Monday today and we are finally getting some light, which is really nice. Got some beautiful light streaming in the window here behind me with all of the plants. This one is getting quite full and lovely. This is my jade pothos. I have been finding mealybugs every now and then, so I think what I'm gonna do is make a neem oil spray for it, and the next time I find some mealybugs I'm going to get rid of them and then spray the entire plant. But my plants are doing pretty well, most of them anyway. The parlor palm isn't doing wonderfully. It's just looking really I don't know, fragile and aged. Well, the peace lily isn't doing that great either. It did bloom a lot though, so the leaves that bore the blooms will eventually die, and I'm hoping when I trim them there's going to be enough new growth to sustain the plant. But I would say the peace lily and probably the parlor palm are the two plants that I'm most concerned about. My spider plant has a huge spiderette now. So I'm eager to propagate that. Once I see that it has little root nubs, there's actually one there, I'm going to propagate it. And interestingly enough, it actually got little flowers as well. You probably can't see here, but I have some photos on my website. But I didn't realize that spider plants flower, so that was really neat to see. I'm just gonna pull these off because the little flowers are all dried up. But yeah, this plant's doing really well. It almost didn't make it because I overwatered it and it was so root bound, but when I repotted it and started taking better care of it, being careful not to overwater it, it's been flourishing. I'm gonna cut off, I think, a couple of the lower leaves because they're starting to turn yellow. The pothos are doing amazing. The one that hubby got me grew so much, so I'll probably show that maybe in another segment because I don't feel like getting up. I'm feeling a bit lazy and unmotivated today. I have a little bit more like pep in my voice now, but this morning I didn't know how I was gonna get through the day because I do have some like work commitments today, but I just didn't feel like doing anything. And it's funny because I recently published a blog post and it's about how to build routines that spark creativity. And in it, I talked about having a daily routine and 3 specific practices in my daily routine that really help keep me inspired and motivated and creative, kind of keeps this forward momentum going. Those habits are waking up early. So I wake up at 6:30 right now, and that may be early for some, but not early for others. For me, it is rather early considering I used to be more of a night owl. I also take a pretty long walk or several walks. I'm still trying to get 10,000 steps a day, as you guys know. And the 3rd routine is, of course, morning pages, which is amazing for my creativity. I just get so many ideas when I'm doing stream of consciousness journaling. So those are the 3 habits that keep me feeling pretty creative most days and feeling pretty good most days. And today was one of those days where I really relied on my routine to get a little bit of motivation back. After I wrote my morning pages, which until tomorrow will be the guided prompts from the inner field trip. I'm on day 9 of 10. It's been going really well, but I think my writing right now, or my thought process around kind of like internal biases, it's still very surface level. This type of reflection is very new for me, so I'm still like very confused in my own mind, and partially because I'm like of blended cultures, if you will. I was born in Toronto, Canada, but my ancestry, my parents are from China or Hong Kong. So I feel this sort of conflicted identity, I guess, and I've never really felt that way before because I've never really thought about it before, but now that all of my thoughts are coming to the forefront, it's very interesting, but it's still very surface level. I don't feel like I'm getting down deep yet. So I would like to do the inner field trip again, and it's every season. If you guys are interested in learning more about anti-racism, I subscribe to this newsletter. It's a free newsletter that is very helpful. So it's a daily newsletter. It's called Anti-Racism Daily. And essentially it's an article every day that's delivered to your email. There was an issue recently on supporting your local Chinatown. There's been issues on topics like tone policing and such. And there's also like a weekly kind of like Q&A where she answers emails that come into her. So if you don't want the daily article coming to you, you can subscribe for the weekly recap, and there she lists all the articles that were sent out during the week, as well as a few questions that she got from readers. It's been a really good resource, very interesting, and I feel like it's a way to learn a little bit every day, which I really like. Sometimes these topics can get really heavy and can make you feel all sorts of not great, just because there's so much work to do and there's so much misunderstanding in the world. And of course, every topic, there's like different perspectives. So sometimes it feels very overwhelming, but I find these articles are very balanced. They're very well presented and well researched, and you can just read the article itself, but there are also various links that take you to other articles and resources, so you can dive as deep into a subject as you want to. This probably isn't the best position to vlog because you can't see me very well, but I'll switch locations after. I have a call in about 20 minutes. This is the area that I use for video calls now, so I'm kind of like sitting in this area waiting for my call, but I will definitely change locations later so you can see me a bit more. The last thing I want to say in this segment is that I've been wearing my new pink scarf. So this is the one I knitted, a very short scarf, but the length has actually worked out quite well. I've been wearing it like this, and I don't clip it down or anything like that, because what I do is I just tuck it into my coat. And the reason the length is perfect is because it doesn't add a whole bunch of unnecessary bulk. I find with my other scarves, when I tuck it into my jacket, it just creates this huge like balloon of material in the front here, because I have those huge like square scarves from Aritzia and such, so you can't really tuck those in very well. My jacket itself is pretty form-fitting, so there's not a whole lot of room to tuck in like a really voluminous scarf. So this one was perfect, and it was really warm without being too hot. I really, really like it. If I make another one, I might make it exactly the same kind of like dimensions as this one. I came this close to buying more yarn when I was at Michael's a few weeks ago. This was around the time that I had just finished the scarf, so I was like super excited. I was like, yeah, I want to make another one in like mustard and in a charcoal gray and in a heather gray. Those are like the three colors that I really, really would love to have this kind of scarf in. But I held back because there were other things that I knew I wanted to do before knitting another scarf. So we'll see. Maybe one day it will be in the cards for me to knit another one. But otherwise, I'm really happy with this one. I am in a spot where I think it's easier to see me. And I'm going to show you this plant, which is the one that hubby bought me for our 11th wedding anniversary, which was this year. It's grown a whole bunch. I don't know if you can tell how much bigger it is compared to what it was before. It's got some really nice long trailing vines that are just like jutting out to the side. I'm gonna have to repot it in the spring, but I think it'll be fine until then. Some of the roots are starting to grow out of the pot, but it doesn't feel like overly squished or cramped, so I think it'll be fine until then. So that is that piece of show and tell. I also wanted to show you guys this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but I am propagating one of these watermelon peperomia, I think they're called. But the leaves are gorgeous because they look like little mini watermelons, as you can tell by this one. All I did was cut a leaf in half, and I propagated it directly into soil, keeping it very, very damp for the first, I would say, like a couple of months. I'm going to be repotting these into their own pots next weekend, so that is very exciting for me. But yeah, these guys are doing really well. I put it under this like plastic dome and I just remove the dome like every few days to get the air circulating inside so it doesn't become too stagnant. But I keep these right by the window. I love, love, love this plant, so I'm very, very excited about my leaf cuttings taking root and now sprouting and slowly becoming their own standalone plant. I also am trying to grow a pineapple plant from the top of a pineapple. It did root in water. It had 2 long roots and a few little nubs, and I decided just to go ahead and propagate it into soil. So I water that pretty regularly to keep it really damp. But nothing's happening with that yet, so I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but I'm still keeping an eye on it. I actually got this idea from my friend because she successfully propagated a pineapple plant, and now it's got like beautiful fresh green leaves. No little pineapples yet, but the leaves themselves are gorgeous. It looks beautiful. So I hope mine can do the same maybe by next spring. I don't know, maybe it's a bit too cold and there's not enough light. It's been raining a ton here in Toronto, which is very unusual, but it's been raining pretty much on, a little bit off and on. I've seen the sun maybe twice in the past week, 2 weeks maybe. Fingers crossed we're in the tail end because I'm starting to feel it. I was, as I mentioned, very motivated for the past, like since the new moon planning session that I had, super, super motivated. But today I hit a little bit of a lull. So it may be weather related, it may be moon related, it may be just like I got a lot of stuff done in the past week and a half. So maybe it's just the natural down of an up and down cycle. So we shall see. But I am feeling a bit more motivated now. I had a really good call with my boss. We got a lot done. I'm a huge fan of email, but there is no doubt that sometimes a call, you just tick off so many things on a list that would otherwise take much more time over email. Lulu is sleeping behind me here. So cute. I don't know if you can see her. You can see a few of her dark patches and her like cream colored fur. I am finally all done this Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. I did have a little bit remaining on the edges here, so I broke that up with the handle of one of my small makeup brushes, and I kind of used it as a loose powder until it was all finished. So that took a while. I can't remember the last time I showed this in a video, but I said I thought it would last maybe a month or 2 longer, and I feel like it lasted even longer than that. And at that point, I wasn't even sure if I was going to finish it or just toss it, but I did finish it. So that is awesome. I'm going to be moving on to my Fenty Beauty one now, which is super exciting. I think I did swatch this when I got it, but that's what it looks like, and I'm going to use it starting tomorrow. The Popeyes chicken sandwich. I never circled back and gave you my thoughts on it. I really liked it. I thought it was delicious. It was nice and crispy, and we actually ordered it again at the end of the week, so we had it twice that week. I would get the sandwich again. I personally prefer the classic version versus the spicy. I found the spicy sauce was very, very salty, like a bit too salty for my liking. But what I ended up doing with that second sandwich when we had the poutine was I dipped it in the gravy of the poutine. It was really, really good. It is Saturday morning. Happy Halloween. I'm about to water my plants. I have about 30 plants now, but I don't check them every day anymore. I used to go in and pretty much check their soil every single day, but I found that I'm not really wanting to do that every day anymore. I look at them throughout the day and they just give me a real sense of like calmness. So I enjoy having them, of course, but I'm not as like hovering. I used to really hover over my plants. Now that I don't check my plants every day, check the soil every day, I've been using this calendar, and this is a Toronto recycling calendar. I was actually wanting to find a use for this calendar, but I don't really plan things in this way. I've got like a few systems of planning, but I had nothing to write on this calendar, which seemed like such a shame because I really love this calendar, just like the paper and the look of it, everything about it I I really enjoy. So now I have a use for it. I started doing this in August, and what I would do is I would write down the plants that I water each day, and then I started looking back to see when the last time I watered the plant was and whether it was due for another watering. But then I found that it was hard to read. It was hard to go back and find the last time I watered spider plant number 5, say, and I was counting days a lot, and it was just like, it was kind of disorganized, even though it was more organized than I had been. So what I decided to do was make an Excel spreadsheet, and I would still jot down on the day of what plants I watered. And then at the end of the week on Sundays, I transpose that information into an Excel spreadsheet where I have like a little bucket for each plant. I do a calculation to see, based on past watering dates, when the next date is that I should water the plant, because some of my plants require water every 6 days, but some require water like every month. And then I just do a quick filter, and then I write down on a sticky note which plants I need to water this coming week. So it sounds really convoluted, but it's actually saved me a lot of time, because I'm basically in the spreadsheet only once a week, and I'm looking at this calendar almost every day. But if I skip a day, I'm not as worried, because I still have the list with the plants that I need to water this week. And generally my plants are pretty forgiving. Today is October 31st, so I'm supposed to be watering the ficus. I'm also supposed to be watering the pilea. Pothos number 2, which is my big neon pothos. I was supposed to water it yesterday, but I did check the soil yesterday and it seemed fine. So I thought I would wait one extra day, especially since yesterday was, I think it was pretty cloudy all day. There wasn't much sun that came out, so it's not like the pothos would use a whole bunch of light. Spider plant number 3 is due for a water, and the ZZ plant. All right, so here are a couple of the plants. This is pothos number 2 and spider plant number 3. I grew this one from a spiderette, so I'm very happy with how much it's grown since I propagated it. And then this one is doing so well. I think I'm gonna propagate this one. I do want to cut off some of these long trailing vines because there are just so many, but it's pretty full at the top. There are a few leaves that are starting to brown, which is natural because of the reduced amount of light. So I'm just gonna pull those out. There were a couple of them, but otherwise this plant is looking pretty good. Very happy with this one. Just see here. I don't even think I need to water this one today, actually. It's pretty, the soil still has a tiny, tiny bit of dampness, so I feel like I could leave it for maybe even a couple more days. And feeling the leaves, they still feel pretty perky. The pothos will start to wilt a little bit when it needs water. You can really see that it needs water, but this one's still okay. The thing with the system that I really love is that it's flexible. So technically I should have watered this plant yesterday, but we've been getting a lot of rain in Toronto, which means that the plants haven't been getting as much light. The number of hours of daylight in the day is starting to go down as well. So I know I have some leeway to stretch out the watering. That's what I really, really love about the system. I don't really have to think too hard about it, but I can like put some thought into it where I want to. And I also find watering my plants a very joyful practice. It feels like really good to me, and I love Excel spreadsheets, as you guys know. So there is absolutely like no part of me that thinks that this is a chore, although I know this system wouldn't be for everyone, because not everyone is into spreadsheets and into tracking like the number of days between watering and such. But I really, really, really love that. Maybe I'll do a standalone video on how I water my plants, because I think this video might be getting a bit too long now. Let me see about the spider plant. I'm just poking into its soil right now with my finger. I think I can water this one today, actually. The soil is pretty dry. So let me put this one back and bring over another plant. All right, so I'm gonna take spider plant number 3 out of its cache pot, and then I'm just gonna use this, I think this was a stick that held up the orchid flowers. but it's perfect for aerating soil. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm just gonna set spider plant 3 into this dish. It's kind of tilted. I may need to add some more soil at some point just to prop it up and make it more upright. I've got a bunch of water that's been sitting overnight, and then I'm just gonna slowly pour in some water, and I'll just wait while it drains out the bottom. So when I water a plant, I cross it off the list, and I write that down here. The ZZ plant. I don't like to water this one too often because it tends to hold a lot of water in the thick stems and in the leaves. So I don't need to water this one all too often. I do need to repot this guy at some point, but I'm gonna wait until the spring. I think I can water this one today. Before I decide, I'm gonna check the pilea. I'm hoping I can water the pilea tomorrow because I water my orchid every Sunday and I let it sit in water for about 20 minutes. And the pilea I water from the bottom. So it'd be great if I could water both at the same time and just let them sit for 20 minutes together. Here is my pilea. It's doing really, really well. It is quite dry, but I think I'm just gonna water this one tomorrow with the orchid. And in the meantime today, I am gonna water the ZZ plant then. So I've checked all of the plants except for the ficus, so let me grab that one and see whether I wanna water that one today. So I'm going to poke at it with this stick. I'm going to feel the stick to see if there's any moisture. There's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, but not much. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. So the thing with this system is I found that towards like the end of summer, I would go ahead in the list and check the plants that were either on the list for tomorrow or the next day because in the summer you need to water them more often. So I wanted to make sure I was checking them a day or two before they came up on my list. But now that the light is going down and we're approaching winter, we're deep into the fall now, I am okay with leaving them an extra day or two because the time in between watering can be stretched out. So this guy is okay until tomorrow, so I'm gonna put it back. In between checking the plants, all of the water has drained out. So I'm gonna dump that into the sink. And then I'm gonna put this guy back in the cache pot. And now I'm gonna water the ZZ plant. This one definitely needs to be repotted. The pot is getting a little bit like stretched and there are lots of roots sticking out the bottom. I wonder if I should repot it now instead of waiting until the spring. A plant is super pot bound, you do have to water it more. And this one I don't go poking at because it's got like some, I guess like thick, I don't know if you would consider them roots, but they're like pretty bulbous beneath the surface of the soil. And I don't want to poke holes in those. So I'm not going to aerate this soil, but there's a lot of bark and such in the soil. So I think I don't need to aerate it as much. This one, I'm going to water it until all of the water seeps out. I'm gonna wait till it gets to like a certain level, and then I'm gonna let it sit for a bit because it's so pot bound. I'm worried it's not going to retain that much water in the soil, and I want the roots to really get like engorged with water before I put it back. It's also really hard to water this edge because the stems are growing right to the edge of the pot. Maybe I will repot this next week or something. I don't think I have a bigger pot right now though. Like a bigger pot with drainage holes. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to do today was to repot my little watermelon peperomia. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow too. I'm just gonna let this sit for a little bit. But otherwise, I am all done with watering my plants today. So I watered the ZZ plant. So tomorrow I'm going to check all of the plants again that I checked today. So the neon pothos, the pilea, and the ficus. Those were plants that I didn't water today, but I'm going to check tomorrow. And then I've got the orchid, of course, which I water every Sunday, the dracaena or the lucky bamboo, and pothos number 1, which is the jade pothos that has mealybugs, and I also have the peace lily on here. I'm just looking at the peace lily now. It looks like it might start to droop today, but I think I was slightly overwatering it because I pulled out a few stalks that seem to have root rot. So I'm going to try to take less initiative with watering it before it droops, and I am going to wait for it to droop slightly before watering it. That is basically all I'm going to do today for my plants. And again, I know this process seems like super convoluted and very unnecessarily complicated, but it really works for me. I love my plants. I love this process. Everything about it, it's just like all good. Tomorrow is also the start of the Eat at Home challenge. I am super excited. I've been really enjoying getting takeout, the quickness of it, the simplicity, the tastiness, but I'm starting to feel the effects of that, just like being full a lot and wanting to use up some of the stuff that we have in the pantry. So I'm going to be starting to vlog tomorrow, I think. I'm going to start a new vlog that's going to be, I think, mainly about the Eat at Home challenge, but I'm really excited for this one. I'm very excited to use up a bunch of stuff that's been sitting in our pantry for a very long time, and probably stuff that I've forgotten about because I tend to forget if I don't use stuff right away. It's something that I'm working on not buying so much at one time, but it's a work in progress for sure. Thank you all so much for watching this vlog. I hope you have a very happy and safe Halloween. Today is Truffle's gotcha day. So we got Truffle on Halloween 10 years ago today. So we're gonna be spending a lot of time with the baby bunny. He's doing well in a sense because he's always eating and he's very affectionate, but at the same time he is very much showing his age. He falls over all the time now. Even if he's just standing there, he falls over, and then he panics and he starts like kicking and trying to right himself, but sometimes he gets tired because he's so old and he's not like really carrying much muscle mass anymore, so he'll just lie there resting until he like panics again. It's quite heartbreaking to see, actually. It's very painful. It kind of like hits me right in the heart. So when I see him do that, I like run over to him and I just try to calm him, and then I'll like lift him a bit so he's upright, but it happens a lot. And I think it's hard for him to rest because he can't keep his balance. So I kind of imagine it as being like if I'm trying to fall asleep sitting up and I just like keep falling like this and waking myself up, I never really get a chance to rest. I feel like he's having that right now because he doesn't like to lie down because he's a prey animal and he's not feeling like super secure with getting up. So now he doesn't lie down much either. So he just kind of like sits there and like falls. So I don't know how much sleep he's getting either. I'm like pretty concerned about him, but he still has a voracious appetite. He's like always wanting to be around me, and he seems overall like pretty happy and peppy. It's just that, yeah, he's pretty old. I'm gonna be taking him to the vet again in like a week or two, and we'll see. But yeah, it's his day today. We have like a few things on our list. Hubby wants to watch a bunch of scary movies. We're doing a relationship check-in today. Other than that, I'm gonna be home and just cuddling him all day. I am gonna go for my walk, and I think I wanna get Timbits today. I'm not sure what we're getting for dinner, but hopefully something close by. Oh my gosh, that was like a 5-minute digression at the very end of the vlog. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate you all so much, and I feel so much warmth and tenderness for all of you. Thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Have a great couple of weeks, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.